Ever since OnePlus introduced the Pro versions of its flagship smartphones, the non-Pro versions have been getting a bit of a stepbrotherly treatment. Now, the feature disparity between the OnePlus 7 and the 7 Pro, if you remember, is still the best example of this till date. Now, while things did improve slightly last year with the OnePlus 8, the higher prices also meant that the non-Pro versions offered even lesser value. This year, with the OnePlus 9 being the most expensive non-Pro version to date, does it offer better value than the OnePlus 9 Pro? Hi, I'm Royden, you're watching Gadgets 360 and this is my review of the OnePlus 9. Now, before we go ahead, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and also hit that bell icon so you're the first to know whenever we have a new video. The OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro have a lot of similarities, so let's get them out of the way. First, the underpinnings. Both smartphones share the same SoC, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888. You get two variants with super fast UFS 3.1 storage and LPDDR5 RAM. The 50 megapixel ultra-wide and monochrome cameras at the back are also shared between the two phones, along with the front-facing 16 megapixel camera. They also have the same 4500 mAh battery along with 65 watt fast charging. If you want more details, make sure you watch our OnePlus 9 Pro review. Now with that out of the way, let's dive into what makes the OnePlus 9 different from the 9 Pro. Now the first and most surprising difference is the build quality itself. OnePlus has used a polycarbonate frame for the OnePlus 9, which is a first for the company's number series. Now, I wouldn't care so much if the OnePlus 9 was priced similar to the OnePlus 8T's launch price, but that's not the case. Now, having said that, the OnePlus 9 still feels solidly built and the plastic frame does look like metal even though it's not. The only silver lining here is that it's much lighter and slimmer than the 9 Pro and even the 8T, making it easier to live with. The OnePlus 9 has a similar 6.55-inch AMOLED display as the 8T. Now, it's not an LTPO OLED screen like the one on the 9 Pro, but that's okay for its price. It does have a full HD Plus resolution, it's HDR certified and supports a 120Hz refresh rate. Now, this high refresh rate makes any gesture feel snappy and fluid. You also get an in-display fingerprint sensor, which despite its awkwardly low placement, still works very well. The OnePlus 9's display is also flat, unlike the curved edges on the 9 Pro, but the borders are evenly slim all around. Overall, the display is quite excellent, colors are vibrant, brightness is very good, and the viewing angles are more than satisfactory. The OnePlus 9 does not receive an IP rating for dust and water resistance in India, and neither does it get any wireless charging. However, the models sold in the US and Europe do have 15-watt Qi wireless charging, and the one sold through T-Mobile in the US is IP68 rated. I think OnePlus should have retained the IP68 rating or even the basic 15-watt wireless charging for the models sold in India. Now, I would have been okay with these omissions had the price been lower, but that's clearly not the case. As I mentioned before, the software is taken care of by OxygenOS 11, which is based on Android 11. Now, some features such as HyperTouch, which boosts the display's touch response to 360Hz, is one of the few features that's missing in the 9, but the software is otherwise more or less identical to that of the 9 Pro. Performance has been very solid right from the get-go. Just like the OnePlus 9 Pro, the OnePlus 9 can handle even the most demanding games in the Google Play Store. It doesn't get too hot since everything is rendered at Full HD Plus resolution and not Quad HD Plus like on the 9 Pro. Now, titles such as Asphalt 9 Legends and Call of Duty Mobile looked fantastic on this phone's display. The OnePlus 9 delivers very good battery life too, a bit better than the 9 Pro in fact, in my opinion. Our HD video battery loop test ran for an hour longer too, clocking in at nearly 17 hours. With typical use, I was easily able to get one entire day and a bit more before having to charge this phone. Now, you can kill the battery in under a day with heavy camera use and gaming, but in most cases, it's safe to assume that you'll get at least a full day's worth of use on one charge. Even when you do run low on power, the OnePlus 9 charges incredibly quickly thanks to that 65-watt charger. The rear cameras on the OnePlus 9 are actually the biggest overall upgrade compared to its predecessors, mainly due to the better sensors. There's of course the whole Hasselblad partnership as well, but this benefit is mainly seen in the color tuning of JPEGs and not much else. Now the main 48 megapixel sensor is lifted from the OnePlus 8 Pro with the added benefit of Hasselblad's color science. However, OnePlus has removed optical stabilization from this sensor, which I think was an odd choice. Now the 50 megapixel ultra-wide camera is the exact same one that we saw on the 9 Pro, while the third camera is a 2 megapixel monochrome sensor. Now there's no telephoto camera, which means all magnification is strictly digital. Coming to picture quality, landscape shots taken during the day packed in very good details and colors and often matched up to the quality of photos taken from the OnePlus 9 Pro. The ultra-wide camera of course captured excellent details too, with minimal distortion around the edges thanks to that freeform lens. Close-ups had good sharpness and colors too, but every once in a while I did notice that subjects had a bit of a soft focus, and the area in focus in the final image wasn't the one that I'd actually selected before taking the shot. It's a bit of a random occurrence, and I'm hoping that this can be fixed through a software update. And both the rear cameras do a good job in low light with landscape shots, but close-ups require a bit of an effort to capture well, since there's no stabilization to compensate for minor handshakes. Coming to the selfie camera, I have the same gripe with it that I did with the 9 Pro. It's decent but not great. Now you can get some pleasing selfies during the day if you angle the camera just right, but for the most part images tend to look fairly average and the quality dips even further in low light. The OnePlus 9 also has similar video capabilities as the 9 Pro. It can shoot at 8K 30fps, but 4K recording is limited to 60fps and not 120fps. Video quality is good during the day, and even low-light footage is clean and relatively free from noise. However, the electronic stabilization causes a bit of jitter in the video, which is more pronounced at night. And the OnePlus 9 can shoot HDR video too, but this needs to be enabled manually, unlike on the 9 Pro, which can engage it automatically based on the scene. The OnePlus 9 does overheat when shooting high-resolution videos such as 4K and beyond, but it's not as severe as the 9 Pro. Now that OnePlus has officially acknowledged this issue for the 9 Pro anyways, hopefully it'll roll out a fix for the 9 as well. Now with the OnePlus 9 costing 50,000 rupees in India, it's clearly targeted at the premium segment along with the 9 Pro. In fact, OnePlus has launched the OnePlus 9R for the Indian market to bridge that value gap between the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus Nord. So I think the big question is, should you be spending your money on the OnePlus 9? If it's just the latest Qualcomm SoC you crave, then the pricing is not that bad. Other phones with the Snapdragon 888 SoCs such as the Asus ROG Phone 5 also start at the same price as the OnePlus 9. When compared to the OnePlus 8T, the OnePlus 9 has better ergonomics and rear cameras, which for some would be worth the premium. Now if I had to choose between the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 8 Pro, I'd go with the 8 Pro. The latter might not be as slim or light as the OnePlus 9, and its ultra-wide camera performance is a bit weaker in some cases, but it does have a sharper display, an aluminium body, optically stabilized main camera, IP68 rating, and 30-watt wireless charging. The OnePlus 8 Pro also looks and feels a lot more premium than the OnePlus 9. Now I can't help but feel an acute sense of deja vu after reviewing the OnePlus 9, as it's a similar sentiment I had after reviewing the OnePlus 8 last year. Now don't get me wrong, it is a pretty good phone in its own right. However, it's kind of hard to recommend when you have phones such as the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE 5G and even the OnePlus 8 Pro, both selling for roughly the same price. So that's been it for my review of the OnePlus 9. Let me know what you think about this phone in the comments below. And as always, for all things tech, log on to gadgets360.com.